Is that right? I think he's contesting it. But we brought him up 19 points. And then the media said that was a bad night for Trump. But we also won 5 of 6 of the races. And the first African-American Attorney General in Kentucky's history, this is going to be a star. Let's see if I'm right about that. Daniel Cameron. Daniel, you were there someplace? Great job, Daniel. So proud of you. Wow, he won by a lot. He won by a lot. That was a lot of fun we had. We were there the night before, and it was some evening. It was some evening, but that was a tremendous record. You set a record, as you know, for what you were running for. It's been a long time too. When I ran for office 3 years ago, I looked at the bleak, dismal record of the Democrat Party and asked the African American community, what the hell do you have to lose? What do you have to lose? I came off stage that night and all these professional handlers, right? I don't have too many handlers, but they say, sir, I don't think they're gonna like that. I said, no, look, because I read a list. Last in crime, last in this, last in home ownership, last in the economy, lowest wages, all of this stuff. And I said, wait a minute, I'm just reading off a list. And I said, wait a minute. And that's what I said. It wasn't as part of the script. I do my best work off script. I hate to say this, I also do my worst work off script.
Yeah!
You never get in trouble when you go by the script, right? Now I do my best and my worst work. It makes things very exciting too. But that was my best work. I mean, it was a very important statement to be made because honestly, the Democrats have let you down. And then I made you a solemn pledge that whether you voted for me or not, I would be your greatest champion. Okay? And you did. You came out and did very well. You did a lot better this time because now you know that we do it. Now it's not just talk. Don't forget, I came not as a politician. I came as a businessman, and I said, we're going to do things that are going to be great. Businessman / television star, right? But I said, we're going to do a job. And so, but who knew? I mean, a lot of people, they didn't know we're pick good judges. They didn't know a lot of things. Now, they see what we've done with judges. We're at 157 federal and Court of Appeal judges. We'll be at 183 a record. And we were left by the previous administration 142 judges to fill. Can you imagine that? I thought they may have one. They may have none. I said, how many? Sir, you have 142. I said, you have to be kidding. You have to be kidding. 142. So we'll be at 182, 2 great Supreme Court judges. And so it's great. 2 great justices of the Supreme Court, and we're going to be looking at that whole situation with judges because we have a lot coming due, and it's, there are some saying greatest thing you can do, greatest legacy, most important thing to do for a president. I say military and defense is always most important somehow. I would say defense. We've totally rebuilt our military. Our military is strong. We did a pretty big number on al-Baghdadi last week. We didn't know what the hell hit them like the Democrats. They weren't playing games. They weren't playing games. They came in those brand new, those beautiful choppers, and they said, they went through the wall. They didn't go through the door, you know. I said, why are they? Because I'm watching this like you watch a movie. Like you watch a movie, and they came through that, they boom, 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 that was dynamite. Boom, they blew a hole. I said, why don't they just walk through the front door? It's called booby traps. I said, that makes sense. But you never saw anything go so quickly, and so it was violent, but it was incredible. He killed a lot of people. He was the founder of ISIS. And ISIS was bad, and when you saw those people in the orange outfits and the horrible things that happened to those people in the orange outfits, this is the man, and we took him out, and then we took out his second. And we've got our eye on his third. And I vowed to pour out all of my heart and soul to fight for your families and for your future. That was after, and it's true, I was reading that list, that horrible list was 10 points. And everyone was the worst, the worst, the worst, the worst, the worst for African American. And every single one was the worst. They had statistics that I'm saying, you know, man, this is really bad. And we took care of it. Now you have, from the worst to the best numbers you've had. For decades, the Democrats have taken African American voters totally for granted.
Yes, they did. That's right.
Democrats have run America's inner cities at every level of government for 50, 60, and 70 years. And really 100 years, I view it. I think Paris, right? 100 years. When Detroit last had a Republican mayor in 1962, it had a strong, beautiful economy. Per capita incomes were among the highest in the nation. And after nearly 60 years of really crooked Democrat rule, it's one of the poorest cities in America. It was one of the most successful cities in America. Philadelphia has a poverty rate more than double the national average. The city has had a Democrat mayor every year since 1952. 20 out of 20 most dangerous cities in America last year were run by Democrats. That's not too good. Nationwide, 58% of murder victims under the age of 22 are African American. America is waking up to the Democrat Party's record of suffering and neglect. That's what it is. They want your vote. They're nice to you just before the election, and then they forget about you for 4 years or 2 years or 6 years or whatever it may be. Then they come and they hit you hard for 3 months, and then they get your vote and they say bye-bye. No, I see it. I mean, I deal with them all the time. I deal with a crooked politician, this guy Adam Schiff. He's a Nancy Pelosi should go back home to San Francisco and clean up her district. It's falling apart with drugs and with homeless and with all the problems. It's not the same San Francisco. Of all, California's a mess, is right. Of all of the Washington sellouts that have wounded our nation, none has been worse hit than the Democrat Party's cruel and betrayal. I mean, the betrayal of the black community is unbelievable. What's happening? It's unbelievable. Democrats bowed at the feet of special interests and trapped your children in failing governments. So look at the schools. Worst schools, and we're making a lot of progress, but you have the worst schools of anybody in the country by far. It's not even close. They shipped your jobs overseas with catastrophic and horrible trade deals, which was changing around rapidly. We have to see what happens with US. We can't get Nancy Pelosi to approve USMCA. That's between Canada, the United States. It's a phenomenal deal for us. Democrats threw open America's borders to the deadly drugs and ruthless gangs that are all over the place, to mass illegal immigration, which hurts the black community so badly. They passed crime bills that devastated your communities, and Democrats waged a relentless assault on the cherished values that have always defined African American families. You know that. It's amazing that you've stayed so long, to be honest. It almost becomes a habit, right? It's a habit. Like it's, oh, we vote for a Democrat. Nobody knows why they vote for a Democrat. Look, if they don't do the job, you switch. You gotta switch. And some progress has been made like never before, perhaps, in such a short period of time. But under this administration, all of that has changed, and it's changing even faster now. We're undoing the damage inflicted by decades of corrupt Democrat rule and creating a historic tide of new opportunity and prosperity. We've done more for African Americans in 3 years than the broken Washington establishment has done in more than 30 years. We've created 6.7 million new jobs since the election, a number that, if I would have said that to the fake news media back there, look at all those cameras. If I would have said that during the campaign, I would have been excoriated. They would have gone wild out there. 6.7 million new jobs. Think about it. Since the election. Last month, the African American unemployment rate reached the lowest level ever recorded in the history of our country. How do you lose that argument in a debate, right? The African American youth unemployment, this was so important to me. You remember how high it was, 60, 70%? Has now reached the lowest number ever recorded in the history of our country. Doing really well. The African American poverty rate has reached an all-time historic low, lowest since ever. For the first time ever, most new hires of prime working age are minorities and women. First time that's ever happened. Wages are rising really fast, up 9% since the election, a number that was unthinkable. And they're rising fastest for low-income workers. Proportionately, they're rising the fastest for the low-income worker. Who would have thought this was going to happen? Almost 2.5 million Americans have been lifted out of poverty since my election, including 150,000 African American children.
Yay!
So when I hear 150,000, a lot of people don't know what that means. You know what it means to me? We fill up Yankee Stadium 3 times. That's a lot of people. To bring investment to neglected communities, we've cut a record number of job-destroying regulations, more than any administration in history, even though we've been here for a short while by comparison. We passed massive tax cuts for working families, saving the typical family of four $2,000 a year. And over the last 2 years, my administration has also provided more than $8 billion in contracts and financing to minority-owned small businesses, which alone has resulted in a minimum of 20,000 brand new beautiful jobs. So with us today are Kelvin and Janelle King from right here in Atlanta. Kelvin is a graduate of the United States Air Force Academy, great place, where he was also all-conference football player. Today, Kelvin and his wife Janelle own a general contracting business, and they're doing really well. Kelvin and Janelle, please come up. Say a few words. Come on up.